Some time back I was hired to a company by a CEO I had previously worked for someplace else. He was a good friend, so when his newest company wasn't achieving sales, he headhunted me to join the new one. The company hadn't made a sale in 2 years. Year 1 the software product was in beta, so it wasn't ready to be sold. Year 2 they realized using the tech staff to make high-end sales to C-level executives was the shittiest sales model one could conceptualize. In general, and there are exceptions of course, these two personality styles don't speak the same language. Tech people talk tech. Buyers talk benefits and how the potential product fills needs. I bridge the gap well by translating tech speak into natural conversational language, so buyers better understand how their needs will be filled. The job was an hour-and-a-half drive one way from my home, so the CEO said I could work from home as long as I kept the sales management tool current. It's where you keep the notes of each prospect's status. Came to important meetings and made sure the executive team had daily sales reports. The first month I made the daily 3-hour commute because I needed to have solid, constant interaction with all the departments to rapidly form my sales strategy and develop a two-way confidence level with the section heads. Once I had a handle on things, I was ready to launch my sales plan. In the meantime, the CEO hired a VP of sales, bitch boss, who started 4 days before I hit the ground running to get in front of buyers. She was a VP coming from the banking industry and had a long career in sales and marketing and finance products. I hated her from the moment she arrived. She knew fuck all about tech and I spent huge time trying to orient her, which wasn't ideal because I needed to work on my sales strategy. They brought her on board because she had strong experience gaining financial investors. Nevertheless, I forged ahead, traveled to a target state and spent 19 days crisscrossing it. When I came back I had 17 contracts from buyers totaling about $2 million in sales. My CEO was overjoyed. Fast forward 6 months and now working from home, I'm rocking and rolling. Sales are strong. CEO is happy. Good things are happening. The bitch boss has landed an investor willing to drop $6 million into the company, and they are coming into town for a discovery meeting. She asks me to drive up because they specifically want to meet the salesperson. Seconds before walking in the door for the big meeting, bitch boss pulls me aside and says she needs me to back her up on lies she has told them. Basically she doubled my sales numbers. I told her there was no way I was going to do that. She says the CEO has okayed the lie. We get to the part in the talk where the investor is looking over my inflated sales numbers on the prospectus, then directly asks me how many sales I'm making a month. Bitch boss is behind him waving her arms, but I was having none of it and answered truthfully. He looks askance staring at the document which has the false number listed, while she's giving me the stink eye behind him. No one says a word. Dead silence. I asked to see the document and fates have aligned, allowing me to solve the dilemma. I explained the first 2 numbers were transposed. They correlated well to my real sales versus inflated sales if you flip-flop the first 2 digits. Potential investor is satisfied and we move on, switch gears. About a week later I was meeting with the CIO in his office and he referred to my big tits. I'm no shrinking violet, but it stunned me because it was so unexpected. That night I was chatting with my BFF who happens to be a lawyer, and told him about it in casual conversation. He said I should tell the CEO so he can address it. Thinking along smart business practices, I decide to tell bitch boss, to whom I directly report as proper protocol since we don't have a HR department yet. Side note, I also reported directly to CIO as a boss since my role was a muddy mix of sales and tech. The next day CEO calls me and I take him through it, telling him it's no big deal, but to make sure he talked to CIO so it didn't happen again. He says he'll do it right away. 2 days later I check in with him and CEO still hadn't talked to CIO because the investors were in town. I gently push him to get it done and casually mention my best friend who happened to be a lawyer was the one who urged me tell him because any good CEO would want to know about it. I reiterate, I'm not mad or upset. The only word he heard was lawyer. He went apeshit that I was bringing a lawyer into the mix. Now this guy was my good friend. We'd worked together at 2 companies for years. I calmed him down, or so I thought, explaining that I only wanted him to talk to CIO. I also told him I hadn't brought a lawyer into it, that I had been innocently chatting with BFF who just happens to be a criminal defense attorney. He seemed okay and we hung up. The next day I'm working as usual and I get a call from an attorney who explains the company has hired her regarding my sexual harassment claim. I'm flummoxed and adamantly told her that was not the case, that I had no claim against the company. She said otherwise, and that's when everything changed. Dramatically. CEO was furious with me for bringing this on when investors were looking at us. His reaction set the tone which filtered down. The company began to retaliate against me. Bitch boss now made it her mission to make my life hell, forgetting to tell me about important meetings I was supposed to attend, freezing me out when I was in the office, telling me I could no longer even speak to CIO, a problem since I'm selling a multi-million-dollar tech product needing his input, and I directly reported to him as my other boss. Denying me a long-planned, approved vacation. Basically anything she could devise to screw me over, she was gleefully working it. Coinciding with this was a serious health problem I developed, ultimately requiring surgery. My illness had no impact on my work as I was able to work from home, which made things easier on me health-wise. Bitch boss then decided that I need to come to the office every day despite a 3-hour round-trip commute. Now I know you're thinking, why didn't I just leave? Get another job somewhere else. I needed the health insurance. There was no way to turn around another job fast enough, and I had a complex surgery scheduled requiring 3 surgeons for my procedure. My doctor gave me a note for them, which released me from having to make the daily commute so I could continue to work at home. As long as my work didn't suffer, they legally couldn't force me to commute, especially since working from home was a part of my employment contract from the outset. The night before my surgery, bitch boss calls to tell me they've canceled my health insurance. After hanging up with bitch boss, I collapsed on the floor in a faint. I was so sick and mentally exhausted from all the stress. The next morning the CEO frantically calls asking to talk to me. My mom refuses to let him. I'm on official leave as of that morning, and we're heading to the hospital. CEO had told their lawyer about canceling my health insurance, and she chewed him a new asshole, telling him it was illegal. They immediately reinstated my insurance. In the 2 weeks I was out, my mom had found a lawyer for me, as it was clear shenanigans were going on. I still needed them as an employer because I was in no shape to rigorously job hunt while recovering. Turns out all the bullshit they were doing to me is illegal. Companies aren't allowed to retaliate against employees when they report nefarious acts against them. I met with my new lawyer, who said I had an excellent claim for retaliation and took me on. He said I had to continue working there while he did his thing to stay within protocol while he filed the EEOC claim. Now it's time for me to return to work. The company had relocated, planned, during my absence, and bitch boss refused to tell me where, so I couldn't come back to work. Company lawyer told them they had to tell me, so bitch boss gives me wrong directions, making me late on day 1. I walk in the new office and it looks like any other place except for one thing. There is a wide open area directly in front of the CEO's glass office with a single desk in the middle of it. Welcome to my new desk. Also, I wasn't allowed to do sales anymore. In fact, I wasn't allowed to do anything at all, period. They had hired a bunch of new people to the company and they treated me like a pariah. Turns out bitch boss had gone to them telling a pack of lies, and if they know what's good for them they'll stay away, since I had nothing to do but couldn't just sit there looking like a dope. I worked on documenting everything being done to me per my lawyer's advice. I was meticulous in my note-taking, and bitch boss began writing me up. Stupid stuff like not answering my phone on the first ring and for asking questions during company-wide meetings. Asking to see my personnel file, which employees are legally entitled to do, although not entitled to photocopy any of it. Each time she wrote me up, I had to sign the write-up. There was a space for me to reply to it, so I consistently wrote, "I do not agree with this assessment." It infuriated her so much. She wrote me up again for writing the statement that I didn't agree with it. There were several instances where she called me into her office and literally began screaming at me loudly and enthusiastically. I wouldn't engage though. My standard answer to everything was okay, which made her apoplectic. At one point, she's inches from my face screaming, her face beat red, and I just sat there with a dreamy expression whilst envisioning her blowing a vein in her head, stroking out. I infuriated her with my equanimity.
Hands shake. Stare at screen for an hour. Realize I won the war but lost my humanity. Mom calls. Says, "Are you okay?" I lie. Just tired. Work stress. She says, "Come by Sunday. Dinner." Sunday, I don't show. Paranoia gets louder. Every car engine sounds like judgment. Every silence sounds like confession. Move out. Rent basement apartment. Landlord mute old guy. Doesn't ask questions. Sleep badly. Keep seeing. Bible pages when I close eyes. Toilet paper feels like a religious relic. Buy premium triple ply out of superstition. Never run out again. Still feel dirty. One night go for walk. Empty gas station lot. Fluorescent hum. See? Help wanted sign. Janitor night shift. Poetic, right? Clean floors. Mop bathrooms. Smell bleach and redemption. Old habits die hard. Whenever I see empty roll, I replace it immediately. Like PTSD, but domestic edition. One morning find. Bible on lost and found shelf, brown leather. Water stains. Freeze. Same brand, same look. Flip through. Pages warped. Some torn. One section missing. Numbers through Samuel onto my handiwork. Heart pounding. Ask cashier where it came from. Some guy left it months ago. Leave early. Throw up behind dumpster. Dreams get worse. See friend's face, pastor's face, Denise's, all mouthing the same phrase. Wipe clean. Wake up sweating, hands red like paper cuts. Start avoiding people. Work. Everything. Manager calls. Says I'm fired for sleeping in storage room. Fine by me. Go back to drifting. Not even sad anymore. Just used up. Weeks blur together. Live in bus terminal for warmth. Eat leftover pretzels from trash. Overhear janitors talking. One says, "Remember that pastor who offed himself?" Other replies, "Yeah, turns out he was innocent. Evidence traced to corrupted repair shop pcme.jpg.cold sweat. Can't breathe, get up, start walking, no destination, just movement. Same as river years ago. Sleep in park that night. Dream of Hector. He's laughing, holding roll of toilet paper like a torch. Says circle complete. Wake up crying and laughing. People stare, mumble, I get it now. Nobody asks what. Find shelter church downtown. Ironic, right? Volunteer for cleanup. Pastor there young, kind, hands me mop, says, we all clean something. Mop floors, silence heavy, glance at altar, open Bible on stand. Every page intact. I feel jealous. Few months of routine, cleaning, sweeping, trying to be human. Start journaling to keep sane. Entries short, woke up, mopped, didn't cry. Small victories. Still dream of flood. Wake to dripping pipes and flashbacks. Go sit outside sometimes. Stare at sky. Wonder if God ever laughs. One night pastor calls me into office, says, heard you're good with computers. My soul leaves body. He gestures to desktop. Says, it's running slow. Wants me to look at it. I touch mouse and freeze. Cursor blinks like confession. Light, he says, you okay? I say, yeah, just déjà vu. Clean malware. Optimize disk. Before leaving, he says, you've been through things, haven't you? I nod, then you know. Forgiveness isn't free. Smile doesn't reach his eyes. Phew. Weeks later he gives sermon. Even those who defile can become instruments of grace. Audience. Murmurs. I mop corner quietly. Feel like subject of parable I didn't consent to. After service he offers leftover communion wine. I take. It first sips since army. Tastes like rust and irony. Another night, same church. Plumbing breaks. Bathroom floods. Pastor sighs. Asks if I can help. Water rising around my boots. Pipes gurgling like déjà vu soundtrack. Grab wrench. Start fixing. Floor slippery. Mind spinning. See toilet paper roll floating by. White. Perfect. Unblemished. Laugh too hard. Pastor asks what's funny. Say everything. He doesn't get it. Water stops. I stand drenched. Reflection in flood looks like 17-year-old me. Same stupid eyes. Same cursed story. Mop falls from my hand, I whisper. It was never about the paper, was it? No answer. Just echo. Pastor leaves. Lights flicker. I stay kneeling in puddle. Church empty except me and ghosts of plumbing past. Months pass. Hair longer, eyes duller. Pastor stops asking for help. Congregation whispers, I'm weird but harmless. Some nights kids throw toilet paper rolls at door. Halloween prank probably. Pick them up. Keep them. Boxing corner, labelled insurance, like backup sanity. Last. Entry in journal reads, I think I've become the punchline of the universe. Close. It step outside. Street quiet. Sky grey-like. Static. See storm drain overflowing. Laugh. Whisper. Not again. Lightning flashes. Smell rain and faint. Hint of Taco Bell. Poetic symmetry achieved.